I don't know why I laugh. Welcome YouTube family. What up, people? This is Julian. Welcome again to PB's Collectible Corner, and I am excited to come before you guys again. I have a good topic and discussion that I want to have with you guys. We're not going to do any unboxings or any artwork or anything like that today. What I want to do is do a movie review, and I want to jump straight to it. And but before I do, I will ask you guys, please hit that like and share button. It will help the channel tremendously, and I appreciate you guys again for stopping by. And with that being said, let's get started. I'm excited about this because I've been wanting to do this since I saw the movie. Now, just to give you a quick backdrop, one of the things I love doing more than anything else is going to the movies. I love going to the movies. I just enjoy being in the atmosphere, watching movies with other people, seeing people's response, and so on. That's one of my favorite pastimes and things to do. I can sit in a movie theater all day and watch movies. So with that, I want to talk about the Fantastic Four movie. And I have to do this one. I mean, this is so personal to me. I have to do this review. I have to. I have to. That's the best thing that I have to do this review. And the reason being is because, number one, I'm a huge Marvel fan, right? I've been collecting comics, since I was a kid, a little boy, middle school, elementary, whatever. My brother, who's 4 years older than me, he used to collect comics, and so of course he was my influence to get me into it. And so I've been collecting, again, since I was a kid. And with that in mind, let me give you guys. Let's first address the movie. I gave the movie a B. I thought it was good. My overall view was a B. I think that what I liked most about it is that the Fantastic Four felt like a family. I really enjoyed that. There was the interaction between the characters. It felt family oriented. They felt like a family, and I enjoyed that. And so with that being said, like I said, I gave it a B, and I enjoyed the movie. Now, why didn't it get an A? The main reason it didn't get an A for me is because my favorite character is in that movie. Let me give you my top 5 characters in the entire Marvel Universe. Galactus is my absolute favorite character, number 1. Then the Silver Surfer, number 2. Then the Hulk, number 3. Number 4 is Magneto, who is my favorite villain, who's really not a villain. I absolutely love Magneto. And then the overall X-Men world. I love the mutants, that whole thing with the X-Men. I'm not going to, go through and pick all the, different mutants that I like. I'll just say that whole X-Men universe, categorize it as one. And hey, that's my 5th. So Galactus, Silver Surfer, the Hulk, Magneto, and the X-Men. Now, when it comes to Galactus, I've had so many conversations about this character. And to me, he's the type of character that if you're not going to do him right, don't even mess with him. Because you have to understand who the character is. And there were several things in the movie, in the Fantastic Four movie, that I did not like. I'm not going to even address the issue of Shia LaBeouf being the Silver Surfer. That was, I just got to say, that was some garbage. That was some nonsense. It has nothing to do with, we're not going to even get into that, because that's a whole nother agenda, that I feel that people are putting in films, and that's not what these type of movies are about. Save that stuff for other, dramatic films or what have you. Marvel Comics, DC Comics, they have a set fan base, and I know that the films that are being made are not just for the fans, but to enlarge the audience. I get it. Okay? But your anchor people are the fans, the people who know the history of these characters. Say whatever you want, Marvel execs, whoever you are, I get it, I understand it. We want to enlarge it, I get it. But your anchor people, all of us who attend the San Diego Comic Cons and New York, Chicago, and wherever you may live if there's a Comic Con, we are the anchors. We are the foundation. We're the ones who know. And so, with that being said, you know, I want to talk about this because there were some, I think the director, again, one thing I don't like doing is, as a creative, I don't like speaking negatively about other creatives. And so, this is nothing against the director or any of the people that worked on the film. It's not. I am talking about the character Galactus. That's who I'm talking about. And I'm talking about, I understand now, I guess they changed Galactus' origin up now. I think they've gone through 3 different origins or whatever. Well, I'm talking about the Jack Kirby Galactus. I'm talking about the origin of Galactus story that I have. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch cameras shortly and go through, because I found a digital copy of the physical copy of the origin of Galactus that I have. And I want to go through some of the things in that said in the comic book that to me were totally like thrown out, you know, in the making of this movie. And it's like they belittled Galactus and who he is, and not only who the character is, but what he is. There are a couple things that I'm going to address in the dialogue that he said that I was like, no, you know, but I'll get to that shortly. And so again, this is a character that, you know, I know pretty well. You know, if there was Galactus made an appearance in a comic, which was not often, when he did, boom, I bought him. You know, I enjoy this character. Now, it could be because of my belief, you know, and I know what he symbolizes. You know, he's this God-like character, you know. Do I believe that there is a God? Yeah, I'm not trying to impose, you know, any religious, that we're not even talking about that. I'm not talking about that. I would not do that. Try to impose what I believe on anybody. I wouldn't do that. But I'm talking about not just who the character is, but more importantly, what he is. You know, you could tell me the who, and that's fine. But let's look at what he is. And with that in mind, I want to go to, first I want to show this little clip video of what Jack Kirby himself says. I'm sure some of you, many of you may have even seen it. It's just a brief snippet that they had of an interview with him. And then I want to go to the pages, and I want to look specifically at these things that they wrote for this character that Galactus said. And I want to address certain things that are in the movie, and I want to talk about those things. So let's go to let's watch this video real quick. I'm just gonna skip, and we're gonna look at that, and then we're gonna look at the comic, and then we're gonna keep it moving. Okay.
My inspirations were the fact that I had to make sales, and I had to come up with characters that were no longer stereotypes. For some reason, I went to the Bible. I came up with Galactus, and there I was in front of this tremendous figure who I knew very well, because I've always felt I certainly couldn't treat him in the same way that I would any ordinary mortal. And I remember in my first story, I had to back away from him to resolve that story. And of course the Silver Surfer, and when Galactus relegated him to Earth, he stayed on Earth. And that was the beginning of his adventures.
Okay, so he says something very key. One of the things he says is, I went to the Bible, and then when he started the story, he said he had to back away. And we'll address that in a moment, because again, the principal thing is, he says, I'm not trying to create any stereotypical characters. This character is not going to be, you know, the Captain America like. He's not going to be the Batman like. This character is supposed to be something different. And so with that in mind, let's again remember what the creator of the character says. Not today's writers and all of this stuff. Let's remember what the creator said, not just who the character is, but what the character is, and then also the source material that he used to create the character. So now I want to show you guys something in the comic book that is very, very important, that I really want to look at and I want to talk about, because again, here's the thing. Let me show you. This is the comic that I am talking about. This is the origin of Galactus that I have, that I've read over and over and over, and that I know. This is the only origin that I know. And so I want to look at a couple things. I mean, you guys can find this online, and this to me is a great story. I love it. Like I said, this is, you know, I'm going to skip through the pages and get to the main page. Like I said, I don't want this to be a long video. But again, in my review of the movie, I gave you my review of the movie. I want to talk about why my score was not higher, and it is because of the character. And so let's go to, this is, I'll just, as I'm thumbing through the pages, this is the land of Ta, where this character Galen, who is, they say, he becomes Galactus, right? And let me address something. This is one of the spoilers that I was talking about. When the Fantastic Four are on the ship, you get to this part where Galactus, you know, is in his chair being, you know, whatever, and he's telling them who he is, and he says, I was once a man or human like you, something to that effect. And soon as he said that, I was like, oh, wait a minute, no you weren't. You were never a man. Now, I'm going to explain to you why I can say that. I'm going to explain to you why I say that, because of what's written. And it's a false statement when you understand what happens to the character Galen. Okay? So, on these pages, they discover that, you know, their world is dying, and they're saying their universe is dying. And this is where, to a certain degree, you can fault Marvel Comics with regard to word usage. Now, I'm going to explain it like this, and this is my understanding, okay? So you guys may take issue with it. That's fine. Please leave your comments. Talk about it. Let's go. You know, I'm ready when it comes to this kind of stuff, and especially this particular character. But in any event, let's go to what happens with Galen, because it's Galen and a bunch of scientists who's like, you know what, the end is near and it's here, so hey, let's just go out with a bang. And they drive to, you know, what they believe to be their center, which is this sun or what have you. And as you can see, like in here, everybody on the ship begins to die, right? They are being bombarded by whatever this energy is. And so, for instance, let me move my glasses here. It says they fail, right? And I'm reading this panel. They fail, they perish, all save one. The others have met their end, but I feel new life, a strange new force throbbing, bursting within me. Straight into the fiery cauldron of the cosmos, the starship plunged, right? My camera's in the way. It says, with not even the slightest ripple to mark its passage, blah, blah, blah. And it is here. This is the main page that I want to look at and address. let's look at what happens after the statement Galen makes. And I'm going to read it, and it says, "Then suddenly the sole survivor hears a voice issue forth from the center of his being. 'Hear me, last son of Ta. I am the sentience of the universe. Like yourself, I am dying. In mere moments, as I mark time, I shall have drawn all the matter in the cosmos into my bosom and collapse beneath my own abysmal weight. But though we both must die, we need not die without an heir. Come, surrender yourself to my fiery embrace, and let us become as one. Let our death throes serve as birth pangs for a new form of life. In a time beyond time shall be born a new universe.'" I gotta move my camera a little bit, excuse me. "In a time beyond time shall be born a new universe, and into that universe there shall be one entity like no other, a living organism who possesses the matchless power and raging appetite of a galaxy." Very important, right? My camera's in the way. Sorry about that, guys. And he says, "But he shall be more than a galaxy. He shall be a galactic ravager. He shall be Galactus." Now, that's very important. Let's talk about this for a minute. I don't know. I guess I am very protective of things that I like, and all we know is what Jack Kirby said on the video. I don't know if the fullness of what he was saying, or what his intentions were with the character, but let me say it this way, because it says the universe, right? It says, "Like yourself, I am dying in mere moments." "Hear me, last son of time, I am the sentience of the universe. Like yourself, I am dying in mere moments," blah, blah, blah. Now, let me do this in an order that you guys can understand my train of thought and how I'm thinking. When you say universe, the universe in itself, uni means one, right? The universe itself means all of creation. That means everything that exists is within the universe. And so with that being said, within that universe are galaxies, right? It's the parental thing. You got the universe, and then you have galaxies. And within galaxies, you have what? Planets, stars, moons, meteors, black holes, and whatever else we don't know, right? So it's the universe, a galaxy, everything contained within the galaxy. This is what this means from my train of thought. Again, understanding what the universe is. And let's use, for example, our Milky Way galaxy. And our Milky Way galaxy, and what we know, we have these we have our sun, and then the planets, right? You have your rock planets, your gaseous planets, you have the meteor belt, and all those things. But remember, we're only a fraction, if that, of what's in the Milky Way universe. Now, when you read this, he says he's dying. This is that being, right? The sentience of the universe, which I think is an error in word use. It should be said that I am the sentience of whatever that galaxy is. Because if you say the universe dies, then everything that exists ceased to exist. But we see in the succeeding pages that no, just that galaxy died, right? So, and what do I mean by that? Let's go to the next page. So we see that that area dies, the ship takes off, and there's a watcher there. Now this is not Watu, the watcher that we know. This is a different watcher. And he goes to investigate. He sees what's happening, blah, blah, blah. Well, wait a minute. If that was the universe that died, that becomes Galactus, then what is all of this that's still in existence? Because if the universe is everything in creation, that means nothing should be existing. So we see, again, this is what I'm talking about when I say there is there's an error in word usage, because that's his name is Galactus, right? Galactus, which is, an offshoot of the word galaxy. So that means that the sentient form that spoke to that man, or whatever that being was, called Galen, that was the sentience of that galaxy. So that means the entire, whatever the mathematical equation, that whatever that creates a galaxy, the sum total of it is this being, whatever it is, whatever their galaxy name was. And he takes a human host body and he merges with that body. Now let's be honest. And again, I get it. This is all fantasy. This is all, make-believe. And I get it, but once he becomes one, Galen never existed. And he says, when in the line in the movie, he says, I was a man like you. Now, some of you may say, well, Jew, they're not wrong in saying that, because, that man existed, that sentient being merged with him, and, blah, blah, blah. If he's a part of your galaxy example, then, yeah, you could say that he was once a man. But at the same time, I still argue that he was not. Because that thing was the life source. Galen was an offshoot of that. Galen could not have existed without that sentient being, but that sentient being was alive before Galen ever came into existence. So that being was never a man. And me personally, now, again, that's what I have a problem with when he says I was a man. But if you want to argue, like I said, if you want to go to that, well, blah, 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 he was a man, whatever. But that sentient being never was. He used Galen as a host body. When you are the sum total of all things in existence in that galaxy, no human mind can contain that, right? We know that it'll fry, it'll die, whatever, blah, blah, blah. That stuff is, to me, important to understand, because you're introducing a character, and you have to show the vastness of his power, which this comic book does, and we'll get to in a couple of the pages very shortly. But again, I think it's the misuse of terms when they say universe and they say galaxy, and and so on. And so Galactus is because he says, right here, he says, in a time beyond time, shall be born a new universe, and into that universe there shall be one entity like no other, a living organism who possesses the matchless power and raging appetite of a galaxy. Then it says, I'm got to move behind my camera again, but he shall be more than a galaxy. He shall be more than a galaxy. So if we're using our Milky Way galaxy, which is however many light years in size, come on, people, I know you may feel that, hey, Jew, well, that's nothing. You nitpicking now, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's fine. Let me give you some of the other supporting things that Galactus did in the movie, to me, that are not reflective of what this character is. I didn't say who he is. I said what he is. And because of what he is override who he is. And that's important to understand. And so there's a part in there where this, to me, and again, this is nothing against the production team or anything like that. I know you gotta create something, with when you're dealing with these characters, but anyway, I'll come back to that. When Galactus comes to Earth, when he finally gets to Earth, right? And he's in that chair or whatever it is, and he jumps down, boom, and lands, creates. I was like, oh my God, who did that? That is not something Galactus would do. Again, we got to look at what this character is, not just who he is. In the comics, Galactus never walked on a planet. He always walked in the air. When he did touch surface or ground level of a planet, that was him descending into it. One of the best, and I have it below me, and I didn't think to pull it out. One of the few people who really showed what Galactus is as well as who he is John Byrne. And that when John Byrne was doing the Fantastic Four, and this is when Nova becomes his herald, and he goes to the Skrull throne world and consumes that planet. That is the best example of what you need to know about not just who this character is, but what he is. I mean, John Byrne was killing it back then, you know. But again, even in Galactus' first appearance, you know, when he first, I don't remember the issue number. I don't have that. I can't retain all that crap in my head like a lot of these guys. And you know, when he is on the Earth, he's in the air. He's not stomping on the ground walking. But the jumping out of the chair, boom, in the water, looks over his shoulder. I get it because they're showing scale. I get it. You know, I'm not talking about that per se. Then he digs down and sniffs the, you know, the dirt, whatever. Okay, I get it. Walking through, boom, 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 boom. I get it. I get it. You got to show the scale and size of this being. I get it. But then as he's walking, I think the thing that irritated me most was, this is the greatest threat in the galaxy. And y'all play mousetrap with him. Seriously? Yo. Hold on. Okay, I had to I can't do the small thing. Not on this. We're gonna play mousetrap. We're gonna take this baby and bait this all-powerful being, sit him in the center, and he's gonna walk. I don't know whose idea that was, but that wasn't a good idea. Let me say it that way to be nice. That wasn't a good idea. But here's one that even furthers it for me. As Galactus is walking, Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, flies. You know, fires a fire blast and burns Galactus' eyes. So much so Galactus said, "Ah!" I was like, I wanted to, while I was in the theater, be like, what in the crap am I watching? Are you freaking kidding me? You cannot burn that alone. For me, again, because I love this character, I was like, man, I should give this movie a D for that alone. I was like, yo, you lose major cool points. I mean, this is a being who absorbs entire planets. If you know the origin of the Silver Surfer, which I have that comic as well, he tells the Silver Surfer, I give you the ability to fly through the hottest suns, the largest stars, blah, 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 whatever. And yet Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, is going to and burn Galactus' eyes. Ah! That's how you know people don't, whoever making the movie, have no idea about what this character is, as well as who this character is. In respect to Galactus, I will always emphasize what he is over who he is. Because when you get to the cosmic level of beings in the Marvel Universe, you got to switch from who to what. Who is earthly, right? When you get outside of that, you're talking about Galactus, the Eternals, not the Eternals, I'm sorry, Galactus, the Celestials, Eternity, the Living Tribunal, the Watcher. These beings now, it's not about who they are, but what they are. Like I said, I literally, just for that whole thing with the Human Torch, I was like, yo, bruh, nah. This movie fails miserably because you're not. But it's like, again, I'm looking past that and like, yo, again, what is this character? And this is the thing where, to me, I get it. You make these movies, you want to make money, I get it. But man, please, can we do some research? You know what I mean? Can we really start? Let me move this camera a little bit. Can we really start understanding what these characters are before we just make a movie? I mean, come on now. That the Human Torch burning Galactus' eyes. Seriously? He created a being, Silver Surfer, flies on a surfboard in outer space, off planets, code beyond code. There is no air, and the human. Oh God. Okay. I could go on and on about that, but I'm not going to. So anyway, he's about to make the step, and then now Galactus knows that they're deceiving him. Really? I already had a problem with the mousetrap thing. I already had a problem with that. But let's look at something else. Reed Richards is doing his thing, right? Galactus grabs Reed Richards and starts stretching him. And then he has this maniacal expression on his face. This evil expression of laughter, like he's enjoying torturing him. It is established that in the Marvel Universe, Galactus is a force of nature. He is neither good nor bad. He does what he does because he is a part of the life of all creation. He is a part of that. He's beyond, he enjoys sadistic, behavior. Come on, people. Then he makes a statement, you're nothing but, Nat. So there are certain things, when you understand a character, you have to know. Once you understand what this character is, you have to understand there's going to be an accompanying behavior about this character. The character of the character, right? Galactus is a force of nature. He's not going to take enjoyment in it. That's... Man, you know what? I have to add this because, this is... Anyway, I'll come back to it. Maybe I'll come back to it. John Byrne is the only one who really got it. But in any event, the whole stretching, that was dumb. That's not something Galactus would do. There are things that this character will not say and would not say, and there are things this character would not do. Once you tell me as a consumer, and I'm reading these comics, and now I'm a fan, and now I'm further not just a fan of the comic, but these individual characters, and you tell me what this character is. And there are those of us, yeah, we actually read, you know what I mean? And we read beyond just the comic books. You know, many of us enjoy science. We like science. There are just certain things that this character won't say, and there are things this character won't do. And there are, to me, what, I get it, this is an alternate universe or whatever it is, right? And that's a whole nother subject for me. I cannot stand time zone stuff. People going back and forth in time. I absolutely hate that. And I definitely can't. I do not like multi-universes. I don't like them. So my own personal opinion has nothing to do with the production team. Has nothing to do with Marvel and all that. You know, the new MCU. I'm not. I just, when you get into that kind of crap, stuff becomes convoluted, stories become inconsistent, and to me, DC is a perfect example. That's why they always reboot their universes, and stuff is just garbage. So anyway, the other thing, I mean, everything to me, once Galactus, you know, once he makes that statement on his ship, I was, hey man, I was like, damn, I know where this is about to go. I was a man like you, you know. But anyway, so the other thing is Galactus detects that, oh, well, Franklin isn't that, you know, in that thing, and he, you know, does his eyes, and he's able to look around. Well, I don't know how he's able to use his eyes because Johnny just burnt his eyes, you know, but anyway. And then he says, what does he say? Something to the effect of clever bugs or whatever he says. I don't even remember the dialogue. Just, you know, it annoyed me. But I think the thing that bothered me most also was he was there for Franklin Richards. Now, I remember when they started giving Franklin these abilities, these powers, right? And when they started saying that Franklin is one of the most powerful beings in the universe, I thought he was a pretty dumb character. I do. And to this day, I don't like Franklin Richards as a character. I think he's stupid. Let me explain to you why, though. Sue and Reed have been bombarded with a portion of cosmic rays. They've never really defined the extent of what cosmic rays are, you know, blah, blah, blah. When you read the old comics with Galactus and the Silver Surfer, it's referred to as the power cosmic and so on, right? But let's look at something for a moment. They're still human. Sue's still a human. Reed Richards is still a human. The portion that they received from the cosmic rays gave them their abilities. She has the ability of invisibility, force fields, and so on. Reed Richards can stretch. It did not affect his intellect at all. It did not increase his, you know, how smart he is. He's still Reed Richards, still the smartest guy. He can just stretch now. Those two come together, produce a child. This child, let's just say he was a mutant, and, you know, he has part of the power cosmic or cosmic rays. Because to me, there's a difference. When you say cosmic rays, and when Galactus says the power cosmic, that's altogether different. But again, I am a word guy. Like, I love looking up words. I love knowing the definitions of words. You know, when I'm reading, you know, I'm looking at word usage, you know, and not just usage, application, and so on, and everything that comes with that. But now Franklin Richards is this all-powerful character, boo, boo, boo. Well, And you can make him say, well, in the future, he's going to be at Galactus level. Really? That's the stupidest crap I've ever heard. That is just dumb. This was the sentient being. This sentient being was an entire galaxy. This is a little boy that is the offspring of a man and a woman. They each only have a portion of the cosmic rays. And even if he came out a mutant plus having cosmic rays, he would never equate to a Galactus. Are y'all freaking kidding me, man? Come on. That's who thinks of this crap? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. Mutants are earthly. There is a ceiling for them. You can't take a mutant that still dies, right? He dies. He's not an eternal being. They say Galactus is not an eternal being, but in all actuality, he lives for untold millennia. When the universe dies and all things collapse, that's when Galactus is gone. So yeah, you may as well say, yeah, he is an eternal being. You guys talking about, he's not Odin and Thor and, you know, they go to wherever they go when they die. That's not Galactus. Odin is not on Galactus level. He's not. Zeus is not on Galactus level. None of these characters are on Galactus. Their star system that they live in is a part of a galaxy. They are, again, remember, the universe, galaxy, and everything contained within a galaxy. Like, come on. It's like, let's do some simple thinking here. You know? And so there was just a bunch of problems. And, you know, I'm trying to keep this video short, so maybe I can do something with the editing. But, you know, to me, that's you know, this is just my favorite character. You know, and let me show you before I close this video. Let me show you the enormity of who this being is and what he is and his ability to create. Okay, so let's look at something real quick. Give me 1 second. Okay, let's look at something here. Let's go back to again, and I guess I'll close this out with this. As you guys, this is that part where, you know, that sentient being becomes, uses Galen's body as a host body. Again, I'll walk you guys through it for those of you who don't have the comic. The ship, you know, that is housing Galactus is, you know, just flying. It lands on this planet. There's a watcher there and so on. The watcher is examining it. He's saying he has the ability to destroy it, but he knows that he can't and he shouldn't because it has a purpose, again, because it is a force of nature. So this watcher, you know, does not go about destroying it. Here, that ship takes off again, and within the ship, again, that sentient being uses that host body, and it builds the Galactus armature, right, or armor, or whatever you want to call it, to, it says here, alone within his craft, the mighty survivor labored, man, this is so stupid, he labored, learning to control his power. He created a unique bodysuit which could help him regulate his awesome energies. So that's the purpose of, you know, his armor is to help him regulate all of this vastness that he is. Remember, the sentient being that is now Galactus said that, hey, you know, he's going to be even more than a galaxy. That's a ginormous statement to make, or to say this is what this character is that we are creating in this Marvel universe, right? That's an enormous statement. Okay, so he builds that, and then here, this is where he converts the ship into this kind of like incubation kind of cube where it sits for, it says, within this silent incubator, he drifted for countless centuries until once more he fell into orbit around a verdant planet, the planet Archaeopia. And on the planet's surface, you know, these characters, they discover it, but they don't mess with it, right? Because they're like, hey, man, we don't know what it is. We're going to leave it alone. And then it says, and so the incubator cube ominously orbited Archaeopia for years, undisturbed by the people below. But then interstellar war erupted, blah, 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 and so on. And there's a war, and they got this fight going on. And then whoever these enemy people are of the Archaeopians, you know, they focus their entire firepower on the incubator cube because they think it's from them. Once they fire it, boom, Galactus emerges, right? He says, my incubation period has ended. Galactus live. With but a single gesture, the newborn being totally devastated the entire invading space fleet. For untold ages, I have felt the ravenous pangs of burning hunger, blah, blah, blah. And Archaeopia is, unfortunately, the first planet to fall due to Galactus, you know, ravenous hunger. Okay? So he destroys it, and he goes, after he consumes it, he goes back to his sea is destroyed, blah, 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 and he realizes, he says, he thought, am I merely an agent of disorder? I'm reading right here for those of you that can see my cursor. He says, he thought, am I merely an agent of disorder and destruction? No, the power cosmic can be wielded for any purpose, creation as well as annihilation. He said it can be wielded for any purpose. See, this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm talking about when you're using words and you're going back and forth. It's a universe. This is a galaxy. Blah, blah, blah. You have to explain that. Because to me, this is where Marvel, you know, failed. Because he says the universe is collapsing. And out of this universe is going to come Galactus. No, that galaxy died. That galaxy. And when that galaxy died, that galaxy merged and created this being, Galactus. He's the full embodiment of a collapsed galaxy. Think about, and we don't even know the full measure of the Milky Way, right? They're making guesstimates. They don't know. But if the size of the Milky Way is true, according to what scientists believe, and you take our Milky Way, and there's a sentient life, and that life, boom, all that exists within that galaxy now becomes one being. Think about it. I'm the Human Torch. Psh, I'm gonna give him a blast of fire and burn his eyes. Are you kidding me? Within a galaxy is thousands of suns. They say that their sun's bigger than our sun. Again, I know I'm going on a tangent, but let me stop. But again, let's look at, this is the page that I'm coming to, and what I want to look at as I close out the video, to talk about what this being is. Not who he is, but what he is. Wielding the full force of the power cosmic. Let me take my glasses off. Wielding the full force of the power cosmic, Galactus began the reconstruction. I'm here, right? The project took millennia to complete, for Galactus was frequently required to cease work and prowl the star lanes in search of sustenance, meaning that hunger would come on him and he had to go find a planet to consume. This brother eats planets. But when at last he was through, Ta-2 engulfed the Archaeopian system, a world ship unique in all the universe, even more remarkable because it was the handiwork of one being. So huge was it that planets orbited it as if it were a sun. Truly, Ta-2 was a home fit for a star god. That's my problem with the Fantastic Four movie. They don't know what this character Galactus is. They're just making a movie and then we're going to find a villain. He's not a villain. You can't categorize Galactus as a villain. A villain is someone who has evil intentions to, with those motives and intentions, set about the destruction of something or someone else for their own vain use, whatever. Galactus' hunger is not something of vanity. It is not something of to proclaim he's the greatest being in the cosmos. Galactus does what he does to survive. It's not evil, neither is it good. He's a force of nature. And those are the things to me that, I feel that they failed in the movie and the portrayal of this character. If anything, you should have went back to the original story where Galactus comes to Earth, the Watch is there, he gives, Reed Richards the ultimate nullifier, something like that. To me, you should have done something like that because we already know that the Watcher is in, the Marvel Universe right now. And if you got these multiverses, there has to be a Watcher there. You know what I mean? Showing me a movie that has this immeasurably powerful character and he's defeated by being pushed into a hole or whatever that thing was by this lake. I went to the movies with my wife to see it, and so my wife said, "Hey, you can't mess with the woman's child, blah, blah, blah." I looked at her, I stopped and I looked at her, I was like, I'm not coming to the movies with you again to watch these kind of movies. It's like, no. Just no. No. Absolutely no. She's gonna push No. To me, hey, I'm not, those reviewers, Siskel and Ebert, or I'm not Gene Siskel, Roger Ebert. I'm not at that level or anything. I get it. Hey, I'm not that guy. But I know what I like and what I dislike, and I know what I feel is kind of goofy and what's not goofy. And that whole scene from when Galactus jumps off of that chair or whatever that thing is, from that moment to the end, everything was goofy. I'm not trying to be insulting to anyone. I'm saying that, you guys, Marvel, the execs, you guys, y'all created these characters. Is anybody reading the source material? It's not impossible to take a character like Galactus and then, you're not defeating him, but point him in another direction, whatever, and you can do it in a film format where it makes sense. Doing Mousetrap with the being that knows everything, then this dude flying through the air with fire burns his eyes, and then he's torturing this dude, stretching him like silly putty, and no. Let me say this as I close one more time. Let's go through this again. I was once a man. No, you were not. You were a separate, sentient life force that used the shell of a man. Before that man was ever born, you as a sentient living being existed in millennia before Galen came on. That sentient being was never a man. I have a huge problem with that line in the movie. He was never a man. He took a host body and did whatever he did. But that being was never a man. Secondly, jumping off the chair. Boom! Read any of the Fantastic Four books. Galactus is in the air. doesn't land. And which is great because it distinguishes him in this, you know, not even royal figure, but this powerful figure. You know, he can't even touch the ground because of his awesomeness or power or his whatever you want to say. The mousetrap. Seriously? The mousetrap game with the Galactus? Who would have solved that before he got off his ship? Who would... Johnny Storm burning his eyes. That alone. Like, yo, that should drop you down. If you do 1 to 5, that should drop you down, man. You should get a 1 just for that. Really? Stretching Reed Richards like he's Plato and got this evil, maniacal smile like he's a sadist or something. No. He's there for Franklin Richards. No. That's a dumb idea. Sue pushing. Well, Sue's one of the, I don't give, excuse my language, I don't give a damn how powerful y'all think Sue Richards is. I don't give a damn. This is Galactus. You can take every superhero and villain on the planet Earth in that Marvel universe. You could take all of them and combine them. Let all of them attack him with all of them. And they are nothing to him. He is the manifested living embodiment of a galaxy. And this woman pushes it. Are you kidding me? So that's why I graded the movie based upon the Fantastic Four. Initially, I didn't like any of the cast members, but they worked. They really did. Everyone's acting was great. It felt like a family. Everything was cool with them. Hell, y'all should have kept it with them fighting the Mole Man or something. Maybe the Mole Man and then rediscovers the negative zone and maybe Annihilus can come through that or something like that. That would have been dope. Do I think it was too early to bring in Galactus? Yeah, I do. I definitely do. Especially knowing this was the outcome. Yeah, it's way too early. Way too early. If that's the outcome, y'all gonna play Mousetrap with a god-like being. Are you kidding me? So that's my review of the Fantastic Four movie. I had to do it because, again, this is my favorite character in the whole Marvel universe. I've been collecting comics forever, man, and I know this character, and the movie was good, but they failed. I mean, if I compartmentalize my my review and my grade, the movie, the story, well, not the movie, but the characters, the thing, addition of Herbie and all that, I would give it a B plus. That they were cool. Adding Galactus and doing what you did with him, then switching, like I don't even want to talk about Shalabow being Silver Surfer, because if I was to do it as a whole and knowing the history of these characters the way that I do, I would give the movie like a C minus, to be honest with you, because I think you failed miserably. Your story is only as good as your villain. And you guys, they chose a character that's not a villain. And not only that, they don't know what this character is, and they don't understand who the character is. And so for me, like I said, I graded it off of just the, I thought the Thing looked great. He looked just like, the the John Romita. Well, is it John Romita or Joe Sennett? One of those, because Joe Sennett was an inker. But yeah, I think it was John Romita, Joe Sennett, whatever it was. That they looked like that was great. Only thing with the Thing, I think they should have made him larger. Not as big as the Hulk. Like the Hulk is supposed to be what, I think 7 to 10 feet tall or something. Well, 10 feet tall, I think. Maybe, you know, he should have just been bigger and wider. But overall, it was. I base my review on them. Galactus, to me, I can't even include him, because if I include him in my review, because he's the villain, your story again is only as good as your villain, then I would have to be like, yo, yeah, this movie is a D. You know, so that's my review. Thank you guys for tuning in. I know I may have gone on a tangent about some things, but you know, I've been waiting for Marvel to get to this whole cosmic, you know, thing and show all these other characters. And like I said, I thought the movie was good, with the exception of Galactus. To me, they should not have made the first movie with this character, because they didn't know what he was, and they proved it. So thank you guys again for tuning in. Please give the video a thumbs up, like, share, do all the things, spread the word about the channel. Again, thank you guys for stopping by. This is Julian from PB Collectibles Corner. You guys have a blessed day and enjoy the rest of your week. Take care.